Welcome to Don't Shoot the Messenger with Thomas Shute, Kundalini yoga teacher, spiritual guide, and author. The podcast where we get real, go deep, and explore what it actually takes to live from the soul. Each week, Thomas sits down with some of the most inspiring people he knows. Friends, mentors, creatives, and change makers to talk about healing, purpose, and the kind of transformation that doesn't fit in a quote box. If you're into spirituality that's grounded, conversations that spark something, and guests who aren't afraid to get raw, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for today's episode. I am here with one of my amazing friends who we've developed such an amazing friendship and closeness with over the years, who stumbled into my yoga studio one random day, and she was the only one there. And I was like, who are you and why are you here? Because nobody was coming and nobody was there, and it was in the middle of COVID. And so anyway, this light being, bestie, soul sister, I don't even know what we are, but she's here with us today, Miss Kira Leigh. And yeah, Kira, I would love for you to introduce yourself and say hello to everybody, because I'm just so happy that you decided to say yes to doing this, because you're just like, when we're together, it's like, blah, 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 and I love it. It's so creative. So tell everybody who you are.
Well, obviously, I was going to say, like, literally, if you were like, here, eat this dirt, I would eat it. Like, that's... And I love that you always bring me back. Before I even go into my own introduction, I love that you always bring me back to like our initial meeting, because sometimes like it's been a lot of years now. Like it's legit been probably like 6 or 7 years or something now.
Yeah, which is weird.
I know. And we've had so many experiences together, and like I sometimes forget how it all started, and then you remind me, and I'm like, oh my God, that was like so divinely intended. Not like anything else isn't, but it was really like very divinely intended.
Well, I always tell everybody, you're the reason why I didn't run away. I was 19 and I was ready to run away from my hometown. Yeah. And I had the yoga studio, but I was like literally about to just be like, okay, I'm just going to like break the lease, not say anything, get in my car in the middle of the night and just leave and go to Florida, which I'm here now, but I didn't run away. I actually left with grace and dignity.
Right. Right. Which is a whole different thing, right? Like it's a whole different thing. Yeah. But
yeah, you were the reason why I stayed, because you said there's plenty of spiritual people in this neighborhood. And I was like, first of all, you're not even from here. I grew up here. And what are you talking about? Because no one is here.
I love it. I love it so much. And I also like anytime that I talk about you, like to other people who don't know you, right? And like our friendship, I always say it really does feel like family from spirit. You know, we're not related through blood, but I feel such a synchronicity with you. And I also even can't help but notice that we look similar, right? Like there's so many similarities.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so it's just very like, it feels very much like siblingship, like light family kind of vibes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think they're gonna get that vibe when you guys are listening to this. Like you guys are gonna definitely see that we just like flow like.
Yeah, I know we've been somewhere in some dimension together before, at least once, if not more than once.
Yeah.
So, okay. So on to me. So, I actually, for many, 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 many years of my life, I didn't know. People would ask me, you know, what do you do? You know, like, what's your job? And it was always really, really hard for me to answer that question, because you know, whether it be through offering some form of energy work or movement energy work, or even I come from a history of performing art, also, you know, dance and music and, you know, singing and experimental theater and traditional theater. Like, so I always felt like I couldn't pinpoint a good answer for that. And actually, through my discovery of human design, which I'm sure we're going to touch on.
We will be talking about that for sure.
Through my discovery of human design a few years ago, I realized that the closest thing that I can get to as an identity in my human body as Kira Leigh in this lifetime is that I am an energetic guide who uses different modalities to deliver whatever energetic offering needs to come through. So when I was performing on stages with my band, that's how I was offering my energetic guidance. When I'm leading someone through a movement practice, that's how I'm doing it. When I'm working with someone with like quantum healing energy work, that's how I'm offering. Whatever it may be, I am an energetic guide who and this is a very, very projector thing, but who masters systems to be able to guide through those systems. So that's essentially, hi, I'm Kira. I'm an energetic guide.
I'm an energetic guide. I'm Kira. Hi. Yeah, we have to get into the whole projector thing, but it makes sense. And it's so beautiful that you're able to kind of put it into words. Cause for a while, I know we used to talk about that. Like we still don't want labels and we don't want these like titles, but through human design and through, thankfully, your guidance in human design with me, I've been able to kind of help crystallize kind of not the title, but like a more basic crystallized understanding of what the hell we're doing or like why we're here or what my purpose is and all these things. And I mean, and you've been involved in spiritual circles. Everybody listening has probably thought to themselves, what's my purpose? And they've went to retreats and they've went to silent retreats and they've done plant medicine or they've, meditated with different teachers and things. And it's always like the same. We're still trying to all figure it out. But I will say human design and through your guidance, I've kind of been able to kind of figure it out. But it's so interesting because when I first met you, you introduced me as a yoga instructor, and of course, you throw a rock, you're going to hit a yoga teacher in the head. That's what I always say because everyone's a yoga teacher. But through staying in Jersey and meeting a lot of your friends, and then me attracting some people into my hologram, I've learned that there's practitioners and then there's like yoga instructors, and like you really do put it into practice. And I think anybody that's going to be on this podcast I know everyone is. I'm choosing to be on this podcast is someone I know who like lives the practice, and it's beyond just asana. It's beyond just going to yoga with your yoga girlies and doing some sun salutation. It's super super deep, but. Yes. Yeah, no, I knew when I first met you, I was like, oh, she's so cool. I remember you were the only person that had come to a class and we just flowed. We just like did some free flow movement and we just talked.
Yeah. Yeah, that has been probably actually, like the yoga teacher thing. Like that's probably been one of my biggest challenges throughout the years because one of the systems that I've been involved in to offer guidance in for so long, right? It's one of the ones I've been in the longest, which has been, a 20-ish years or a little more. So I've been steeped in that particular modality for so long that so many people know me through that modality. So many people know me through that modality. So oftentimes, it would be like, oh, this is Kira and she's a yoga and that always made me cringe a little bit because I really don't, there's just some sort of like thing that doesn't resonate for me with that because I know it's so much more, it's so much more than what people conceive it to be. And also like, I'm not a yoga teacher. I actually am here for energetic guidance, and that's just one avenue that I offer through.
That's like that's one of your jobs, like your 9-to-5 situation, like
even like so like I have a lot of private clientele that is not that I don't work with through yoga modality at all. I work through divination practices or other kinds of quantum healing kinds of systems. And even if someone was to say, someone who knew me through those modalities, like let's say someone was like introducing me to their friend group because that's how they work with me, it wouldn't resonate for me to hear them say, oh, she's a human design teacher. Like I wouldn't even resonate with that because it's just different ways to deliver guidance. So it's just been frustrating, but like, but yeah, I feel like I found the most crystallized and correct way to explain it that I'm probably gonna find.
I totally love it. It's our brains are wired in the West, especially like we weren't raised in villages. We were not raised in tribes. So our brains are always trying to like compartmentalize something. Like we're like trying to have like, oh, what does she do? It's ever you introduce somebody, it's like, oh, she's a yoga teacher, or oh, what does he do? Oh, he's the Kundalini guy, and it's just like,
yes,
glad that you have some idea of who I am, but that's just like my job, Like for example, I'm doing this podcast now. I'm not a podcaster. I wouldn't say like I mean, maybe I would introduce myself to somebody that I'm a podcaster, but I don't know what the hell I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my job, we all have our work. We are all living in this society. We need work, but we don't need to create an identity based upon one of the modalities that we all do. Like, for example, I teach Kundalini yoga, but I'm doing energy healing on people. I do coaching with people. Maybe there's some nutritional aspect that I'm working with some people, and it's like, I'm not a nutritionist, or
when I message you asking you about crystals.
Yeah.
You're a crystal expert.
yeah. I'm like, that one's for that and blah, blah, blah.
But so like you being a projector also, especially for those of us that have the projector aura type, that is literally our job, is to offer energetic guidance. So like we need to have all these different avenues. That's why one thing that's so important for projectors is to study and learn, because we do need to have these different containers that we can guide people with, like, because we literally are energetic guides. Like that's what we're here for. Yes. So I'm curious, like when people ask you this question, how do you answer it? How do you even go about it?
Before I answer that question, we need to talk about the human design thing, but put a pin in it, everybody listening. Put a pin in like just saying projector. And even if you heard projector, I love Kira's explanation, so just put a pin in it. But when people ask me like, what do you do? Or like, what do you do for work? I mean, I live in Miami, so everybody has a sugar daddy or a sugar mommy, and they're all, for real. The more people I find out that have, I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
Everyone's always like, oh, you teach yoga? I need to get into that. I just say to them, if it's a small talk interaction, I literally just say to people, I say, I'm a yoga instructor, because it's just easier. But then comes the question, oh my God, I need to get into that. I need to stretch more. Or like, I can't go to yoga. My mind doesn't, stop wandering. I try to change the conversation just to them or something else, or I just say, oh, well, if you're not flexible, that's why you should go. Or, oh, your mind's racing. That's why you should practice meditation, so you can learn to work with your thoughts and let them think and let them move through.
Yes.
I just say I'm a yoga instructor to random people. Now I'm in a circle where maybe I'm at the yoga studio and I'm practicing in community like based practice, and I'm not at home. A lot of my work is online. A lot of my clients or students or sessions are all done through virtual, because I'm never home. So I'm always like moving. But I honestly just say like, I'm like, oh, I do mentorship with people, or I do, depending on, it really depends. This sounds super like Miami and superficial, but it depends who's in front of me.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
If they're another yoga instructor, I'm like, oh, I'm a Kundalini practitioner. I practice Kundalini, what I mean? Because I'm not frequent at many other like Hatha-based yoga studios. I usually just niche myself because I just look what I like. Unless I'm back in Jersey, I'll take your class or some other classes that are not Kundalini. But it really depends who's in front of me. And I try to make it less, I don't want to be like, I'm a 12th dimensional, higher dimensional energetic guide here to change the crystalline structure of planet Earth. I don't go.
They're like, huh?
I can't stand all of that. So
right. I know.
It's really who's in front of me, and I try to make it simple.
Yeah.
Because you said it, you're an energetic guide. I honestly, I haven't figured out the label, but I just say I'm a practitioner of Kundalini, a Kundalini practitioner, because to me, Kundalini is not just a yoga. It's a lifestyle.
Yes.
It's in my life now, it's almost becoming my religion, because it's just every day. It's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that I'm even saying that, because I never thought I'd be like practicing such a structured system in a way.
Yeah.
But it's so perfect. It works for my nervous system. It works for my life, my body. And every day that I do it, it's different and it's changing. So Kundalini practitioner is what I say, because it's beyond just the mat. It's beyond just the practice on the yoga mat. It's right. It's the flower blossoming outside. It's the interactions you have with other people. It's creation. It's creative energy. Yes. So Kundalini practitioner, I'm creating. That's my purpose,
Yeah, I love
everyone's
that.
Purpose really is to create.
That makes total sense. And like, I agree with you that like my answer will depend a little bit also on who's in front of me. Like if I know that there's like a sort of kindred spirit in front of me, then I'll just, we do have this is part of actual energetic guidance, is understanding who is in front of you, and
And
how
reading
to deliver, make it palatable, because we, to some degree, we all do speak a little bit of a different language, just depending on our own energetic construction, and like, so yeah, like I think actually it could be unkind, right, to say to someone who has no experience with the particular things that we might encounter in our lives. It would be unkind to be like, speaking in a certain way. It wouldn't be like a compassionate way to meet someone like that. So, like, yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely use my words and my descriptions in a way that I feel like, yeah, and I want to like, I don't want to meet someone in this way that's like super ungrounded either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
because
like,
they're going to be like, they're just going to look at you sideways. They're not going to understand
yeah,
or comprehend it.
yeah,
It's another language, So
yes.
to
But wait,
simplify,
I have something funny. I have something funny about this.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, as you know, because you were there when I first did it, I have tiptoed into dating app realm a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
I tiptoed in early August. I was only on there for a couple weeks because, as you know, right, I ended up meeting someone that I dated for like 4 months, and we kind of just like got off the app. And then I tiptoed back into it again, I don't know, like 2 months ago. And I'm very sparingly on there at this point. But one of the funniest things that I encounter on there, and I know you get the same thing, because I'm really honest. I'm not oversharing on my profile, but I'm honest about my description about myself, what I do, what I'm interested in or not interested in, because like I don't want to waste my time or anybody else's, right?
Yeah.
So, but as soon as you put the kind of like the work that we do, even in the most like layman's terms,
I
the
know.
first thing that every man wants to, like, they think, oh, that's how I'll connect. And they'll say you get a real good vision of how much so many people in the world still have a very warped perception of what a yoga practice actually is, which is like,
Yeah.
it never ceases to surprise me. I don't know why I'm surprised, probably because we kind of live in a bubble with our communities a little bit, but like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this idea that like a yoga practice is one of my senior teachers, Cindy Leigh, would say, yoga is not an aspirin. It's not like this pill you pop to feel good. It's, or like they think of it as like a positive lifestyle, or, oh, you must eat only healthy food, or like they think of it as like a wellness, fitness, like,
Or you must
and
only be positive all the time. I hate that one. I'm like, I'm
yeah,
a raging
same,
beep. Like
same,
literally, I am,
same.
no.
Yeah. So sometimes when I'm feeling a little feisty and they come with that like intro, I go a little in on them, and I don't mince my words the way that I would to some lovely friend that I met just in person. But
Yeah.
I go,
Because you're playing a game. You're
that's,
playing a
what's
game.
that?
You're playing a
What's that?
game. You're treating it like it's like, you know what? F it. Like this is
Yes.
raw footage.
Yeah.
Like no
Well, just
no
a way
filter.
too. Yeah, and in a way too, because like there's a dating situation, I'm like, I might as well just show them exactly who I am right now, and I'll be like, so just so you know, like this practice has nothing to do with fitness or wellness or positivity. It's stripping every aspect. And first of all, it's very small physical, right? There's a very small physical aspect. Everything else is like so much more beyond that, but it's stripping you down to the absolute core of your being. So if you're looking to like feel good and like have like unicorns and rainbows all the time, you're in the wrong place. And like so
Yeah.
I'll just go in on them a little bit because it's like, let's just weed this out right away. But yeah, it's been
It's
funny.
so funny what they just assume it's a physical practice, and they're not wrong because of the way it's marketed and promoted
Yeah.
here in the States. But my one friend, he was like, I really want to try. I want to come over to yoga, and I'm like, okay, well, we're doing Kundalini, and we're gonna practice Jai Dave, like his online school. I'll play a video.
Yes.
I'm not going to teach you a class. It's just not. I want to practice too. So
Right.
you don't know what you're going to get in Kundalini. You might have an extremely empowering navel, or in modern term, your core activation class. You might have hips like frogs, you're doing frogs and you're killing your knees or whatever you think you are, or your shoulders are screaming because you can't stack your arms, and you go eradicator with your hands above your head for however many minutes. But he comes over, we do Nahibi Kriba or Nahibi Kriya, and it was 22 minutes of leg lifts, basically, just different variations. And he was like looking at me, like, what did you do? I'm like, I didn't know. We hit play when we were in class. So yeah, you might get a physical practice, but there's some times where you're just sitting there with your hands in a specific posture or mudra, and you're chanting for 22 minutes, and that's the kriya, that's the practice. I don't know what we're going to do that day, depending on whatever I'm in the mood to do, but it's not just to be expected to be a physical practice. And it's the same for what the work you're doing. I mean, maybe in a mindful movement class, yeah, you're going to be moving your body, but they get so surprised sometimes they don't realize what's going on in the psyche. Like, I have students who come to my practice, they either have maybe a spinal injury, maybe they just don't want to move, or one had cancer. My good friend Jen, she actually passed away, but she used to come to class and sit up against the wall with bolsters and visualize herself doing the practice, because the psyche is so much more profound than doing the actual practice. I mean, people don't realize we're filtering and clearing the subconscious mind, which is creating the program of our hologram. It's creating the show that we're watching as our life. And when we get in there and start to clear it, that's really what we're doing. And maybe the shapes and the movements of what we're doing is helping that, but that's one aspect of really what we're doing. That's you agree, right? I mean, that's
absolutely, like the physical body, where, you know, our spirit self, our divine self, is plugged into physical form, so we get information fed through us through our biological technology, which is a beautiful thing, and why it's important to work with the body. But it doesn't end there. Like, even in my class today, and this is just a standard vinyasa, I mean, I wouldn't call it standard, but it was a vinyasa practice in a studio that's very focused on asana. You know what I mean? And like my offering, what's that?
I'm plugging my computer.
Should I keep talking?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna die.
My offering today and for the past couple of days has been around throat chakra. And so some of the things that we've been doing in the offerings is like, it's at one point, I just have them in child's pose humming, you know? And then like, even with one of my private students yesterday, because I really wanted to stay in the throat chakra realm, we did a lot of throat lock. Like, we did a lot of Jalandhara Bandha. We didn't do a ton of movement, you know? So even within the context of a vinyasa yoga practice, or even just within the container of yoga, like, there are so many practices that are more subtle practices. Like you were saying, like, maybe we're holding, you know, a Ganesh mudra for, you know, a few minutes or whatever, but there's these subtle aspects, even in the physical practice offering, that
I always say the magic is in the subtlety. My teacher, Chris Mana, he said, like, when an artist, actually, I don't know if it was Chris who said it, but, you know, somebody over at Fresh Prana in my house, I don't remember who it was. Maybe
you're shouting them out to the best you can.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember who said it. But anyway, they said there was, in Kundalini, subtlety is very magical. I mean, this is what I always tell everybody. Like, they're like, we do like spinal weight, like rocks, or we call them camel riding. So they're just like, inhale, bring the back of the heart into the front of the heart, exhale, round the spine, right? So you're just breathing with breath of fire or long, steady breathing. And people are like, bah, bah, bah. And I'm like, guys,
chill.
Subtle waves. I'm like, the magic is in the subtleties. The cells are still moving. You're still going to feel into your body. It's not about rocking and stretching. It's about getting into your subconscious and being able to do it for 3 minutes and start to realize that, wow, I'm not thinking about anything right now because I'm my spine. I'm riding a camel, right? Or what they said I forget who said it. They said, like, think about art. When there's a subtle stroke, a small subtle stroke, it can make profound differences in a painting. Like, think about, like, you have this immaculate painting, and then there's just one small stroke or stride of color that didn't fit, right? Or it did fit, and it made the tree look alive or more 3D or three-dimensional. And that's the same thing within the practice. Like, the subtle movement is where it's at. It's not about stretching, getting that Instagram picture pose. It's like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I still post stuff that looks like, you know, I'm a contortionist, but that's because I did contortion as a kid. It's not yoga. yoga maintained it, but it's more healthy now, and I do it without pain. I used to have like excruciating back pain at age 8,
Yes.
like from
Yes.
bending and being forced to bend my spine. But yeah,
Yeah.
the magic is so much in the subtle aspects.
Yeah.
And
That's really true in music too. Like the spaces between the notes actually create the music. The silence and the stillness in between is what actually creates the whole thing, you know?
wow, yeah, I'm not
I
in,
mean,
I'm
that's
not a
yeah.
musician, but I can make that make so much sense when you're listening
Yeah.
to music, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I have something I need to ask, because it's like,
Okay.
so I need you to give a 60-second, just for those, you know, and don't start a timer or anything, but
Okay.
60-second, like, what is human design? And then maybe like 60-second, like, go over the archetypes,
Okay.
because we
Okay.
keep saying the word projector, and people either
Yes.
they know it and they're into it, or they're like,
Mhm.
what is
Mhm.
that? Or you have some of my friends who are like, Thomas, if you say you're a projector one more time, I'm going to strangle you. So let them have it.
Okay.
And then maybe 60 seconds on what a specialize in my favorite
Okay.
projectorness, because
Of course.
I want them to get a little, I'm only saying 60 seconds so you don't like, I know you're passionate about it, but I don't want you to be like, repeat, you know, like, but just.
Yeah, no. I'll try to condense. You know what's really funny too? As you were saying that, a text came through from somebody who was in my class this morning talking about the humming.
They're probably like,
Um,
oh, I loved
okay, all right.
it.
Let me try to say this in as much of a nutshell as I can.
Perfect.
So, human design. First of all, I'll just say that is information that was channeled down to us from divinity through a human. As most of the incredible wisdom traditions that we have access to were, including yoga, you know, thousands of years ago, the rishis in the caves received from, you know, received the wisdom, right, through their deep meditation. So human design was channeled to us. The way that I see it as it is, so it is the blueprint. When you look at it, you're looking at a picture of yourself energetically. Like, I'll use myself as an example, as Kira in human form in this lifetime. This is a photograph of what I look like, my etheric body, my astral body, my energy body. This is a pretty good, it doesn't encompass everything, but it's a pretty good picture of the uniqueness of what it means to live as Kira in human body in this lifetime. It is fixed in this lifetime. So your design, like for this lifespan, does not change. Whereas, like, you know, you're in Ayurveda, your dosha can change throughout your life. It's not fixed. But your human design is just like astrology, you know, is fixed for your lifetime. Does that the way that I see it is that divine intelligence gives us this beautiful, energetic, unique energetic form that we get to drop into as spirit, individuating itself from God. We get to drop into our unique design, and we get to use that perfected, unique technology to live out our unique path as Kira, as Thomas. Does that
I
make
love it.
sense?
And yes, and one thing is like, one thing I know that I've noticed, people might be like, well, if it's fixed, then does that mean that there's like negative things? But there's a not self theme, right? And then there's a self theme.
Yeah.
So there's like a true
Yeah.
self, and then there's like the illusion, like
Yes. So
fear-based
one
self also.
actually, someone asked me a question that did a reading with me. It was a really, I'd never heard this question before, and I feel like it's coming up more now. They asked me, can you see like personality disorder in your body graph, which is the picture that you get of yourself in human design? The answer to that is no. What you're looking at your body graph is your energetic design perfected. You don't see not self theme, which is what Thomas was just talking about, when you are living outside of your true energetic alignment as Kira in human form. You don't see not self theme in the picture, the body graph. You only see not self theme in behavior, in people's lived experiences and the way that they interact with the world. So your design, your human design is perfected. It is divine, right? So when you're looking at a body graph, you're not going to see all you're going to see, you'll see open centers where there could be potential for not self-theme.
I'm laughing because if I always send Kira people that I'm, you know, interested in, I'll send her their information, their birth details, and then she talks about the open centers. And I'm just sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm just
no, The open centers are the place where we are the most vulnerable and the most susceptible to living out misalignment. They're also the places where we have the potential to be the most masterful. But we have to be aware and conscious. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say about this around the aspect that it's fixed. So sometimes people, aside from human design, people like students or whoever will ask me, well, so wait, are we here as co-creators or are we here and our life's completely destined? Like, is it right? And my answer to that is always both. If you look at the human form in general that you've come into, there are certain things that you have been predetermined before you got into your body. Like, I can't change my height within this lifetime, but I do have sovereignty over my weight. So there are things that we have sovereignty over and things that we don't. We have ways that we co-create with our human birth, and there's ways that are already sort of more predestined. And I actually had a download come through a few months ago around how when we're making our contracts, when we're in spirit form before we come into the earth realm in that lifetime, we actually get to build in places into our contracts where we have sovereignty. So like our soul decides, when I get to this point, I get to choose my own adventure. I have this built, the spirit builds it into the contract beforehand. So it's, oh, I'm getting chills right now because I got this download when I was in the bathtub, believe it or not.
Water. Mare always says, our friend Mare.
I know, warm water in the dark and candlelight. Yeah. But yeah, and I got this very clear understanding that like we have these moments in our soul contracts that we have intentionally put sovereignty into. And in that moment, we can choose. Oftentimes it ends up looking like this. It's like I choose growth or I choose to go back into my loop for another round in this particular pattern, right? Wow. You know, you get to choose. But so with your human design, your energetic design is fixed. You don't get to change that now that you're here in this body. What you do have sovereignty over is how you work with your design. So I'm a projector and I have the things that are established in my design the way they are. But do I get to choose how I want to work with that? Yeah, I do. I get to actually live as a projector or not. I get to work with my, so that's kind of like, that was more than 60 seconds. But
but okay, so we're projectors. What other archetypes are there? And like, maybe, I don't know how, I know it would be difficult to like go into each and every single one of them, but like, maybe go over the percentages. And like that.
Okay. So, there are, some people say there are 4 different archetypes. I actually consider it to be more like 5, but let me just speak to the 4 first, and then I'll get into why I feel like it's 5. So you have generators, and generators are the biggest amount of the population. They're about 78% of the population. And then you have projectors. Okay, so 78 to 80% of the population is generators. And then projectors are like 18 to 20% of the population. And then you have manifestors who are only like 9% of the population and reflectors who are like 1% of the population. Wow. So if you think about like everyone is equally important for different reasons, but the projector generator relationship is a pretty important relationship because even though we're in a much smaller minority group, the projectors, it's mostly generators and projectors, if you really get down to it. We have a very important relationship to one another.
There's like a synergistic thing going on.
What's that?
There's like a synergistic thing or symbiosis happening.
It's a really important relationship to cultivate. When that much of the population is consumed with those two types, it's pretty important. But the reason that I say that I feel that there are 5 archetypes, not just generators, projectors, reflectors, and manifestors, is because there's 2 different kinds of generators. And so you have pure generators and then you have manifesting generators. And there is something about generators that they all share that is very profound and extremely important, that makes them generators. But there are some distinctions between pure generators and manifesting generators that are also really important and different that I think are important. It's important to understand those 2 differences. So I actually see it as 5 archetypes more than, right?
I was confused. Whenever somebody asks me, I'm like, I don't know if there's 4 or there's 5. I don't know.
I mean, technically, like if we're going like super purist human design, there's 4. But I really think that there are the important distinctions between Manny, Gen, and Gen is something that we need to be conscious of, especially if you are one of them. You know what I mean? Like the
and
kind
most people are.
and most people are. And like, so like the kind of the things that like my daughter needs and the way she functions, just looking at the aura types as a pure generator versus like our friend Robin, who's a Mani-Gen, there are some very distinct differences in those two types of generators that it's important for them and for people who love them to know.
Yeah. So it's quite fascinating how it can be so intricate. Like there's these gates and channels and all these things. Like if people are looking at their body chart, and at the end, we'll figure out how people can get in contact with you to explore this amazing. I mean, I only had one session with you, but there's probably about two more with and that was like a 2-hour session.
Yeah, we didn't even get through it all.
Yeah, there was probably like two more that we could do probably. Like it's so intricate, and it's helped me so much with a lot relationships, business, family, everything. Like it's just really good. But as a projector, people are always bitching at me because I'm always saying like I'm a projector, so I need to rest or something like that. And they're like, oh, I think I'm a projector. That means I feel like I have the same needs as you. And I'm like, okay. What does it mean? Like, I mean, I'm telling you, like, I make people angry. I don't make it my identity, but I will be like, I need to rest. I'm not in charge of this. Like people ask me to work on retreats with them, or I'm trying to think of like an interesting like business situation where it's not in their favor for me to be doing certain things. Like we were doing day retreats here in Florida, and we had an organizer who was a generator, I believe, Bobby.
Okay.
She is. I think
Bobby?
Yeah.
I think she might be Mani-Gen, but still fine.
Yes, I think she is because we looked at the chart.
Yeah.
But she was an amazing organizer. People are always like, Thomas, people are so attracted to your light. And I'm like, I know I do attract a lot of people to work with me or to just as a friend that people like are gravitated towards me. However, I cannot sustain the multitude of organizing, whether it's a 4-hour day retreat or a 3-day weekend retreat, doing yoga and all these things. It's just, my job is to show up and do my work and maybe entertain a little bit, and that's it. I recognize that. I used to think I want to run this. I want to do the yoga studio. I want to run retreats. I want to run an online school and all these things. And it's just not in my aura type. But can you explain, to the viewers basically, because I honestly, I don't want to sound like egoic, but there's a lot of projectors in people's lives and they're intricately placed. What I've noticed, I have friends where 3 of us are projectors, or there's one that's a projector and you can really feel them being a projector. It's important for people to know how to work with them and to not be offended if they're like not living up to the expectations of their 8-hour workday or whatever. Can you explain a little bit about why projectors are not special, but how they're made and why it's important for them to be doing the specific work that they are doing?
Yeah. So projectors, their purpose for being on the planet is for energetic guidance. That is literally why we're here. And actually projectors didn't even come into existence. Part of the channeled information that was received is that that aura type didn't even exist until 1781. And that's connected to the planet Uranus, the planet of Kundalini awakening, right? When we started to require in the ascending and descending ages that we've moved through, in the different epochs and human development that we've moved through, we had reached a point where we had we were in need of energetic guidance in our development. And it's not the only time that we ever have been, but it was a point that hit where in human development where there were some aura types that had been established and there was another one that needed to come in, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're here for. And let's hop to Mani-Gen for a minute, because Fabi, being a retreat organizer, it's so aligned for her, because one of the things that Mani-Gens are built to do and meant to do is to, first of all, they're a generator, so they have their defined sacral, which is the strongest motor center in the field that can carry them through and have them doing things for long periods of time.
Which I have, right?
No. The only people who have defined sacral are generators.
Oh, I thought you said root or something.
No, you do have a defined root though.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think can get you into trouble with you, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. So,
it's so complex. It's so complex.
So with Fabi having the generator built into her, this defined sacral, she's designed to be able to do many, many, many things for long stretches of time. But with her Manigen aspect, which is she is a manifesting generator, she is also designed to be able to juggle many different things at the same time. And
Like
Robin
multiple
is another.
retreats and things. I've seen her,
Yep.
like she has a notebook and
Yes.
they have like these tabs and I'm like, I don't know how
Yeah.
she's doing this right
And
now. It's like
they
5
are
different jobs
really,
at once, plus a regular job
yes.
that she's working, or
Yep.
she's doing like calling someone to do like a, like a coaching session or something. I'm like,
Yep. That's
I have to
how
do
she's
Monday and
designed.
Tuesday are the only days that I can do sessions with clients.
Yeah. No,
The rest of the week I do
the
other things.
The Manigen is absolutely built to do that. They're built to juggle many things, have many balls in the air, and also be able to switch directions rapidly. So whereas a pure generator, it's more sustained, one thing being carried all the way through, and it's not particularly fast. It can be slow. The Manigen really, if they're working correctly, and now we also have other things too. If someone's a Manigen, but they have a lot of kappa, that's going to come in and have a
Which is
different
Ayurvedic dosh, which is another topic
Ayurvedic. It's
for
like
another.
basically like earth and water mud. It's heavier. It's like, so if you're a Manigen that has a lot of kappa, you're not gonna move as fast as a Manigen who, let's say, is more pitta or more vata in their Ayurvedic construction. But like generally speaking, Manigens are actually built to switch directions like a dragonfly. Step in, step out, taste it. Oh, okay, that's not right. I come out. They're very they actually technically are built to move very fast, believe it or not. So
Wow.
if you know a Manigen who doesn't move particularly fast, it could be due to not self-theme, and or it could be due to maybe having a lot of kappa in their Ayurvedic construction, right? So
Oh, wow.
there's so many different things to look at. But so for a projector, every archetype has it's like a car with a different operating system and a different manual. One isn't better than the other, they just operate differently. So if you're a projector trying to operate your vehicle like a generator or a manifesting generator or a manifester, right, you aren't going to be efficient. We projectors, and okay, so here's the other thing about projectors. Projectors have the most variance in authority type, right? So every projector, every aura type has a strategy, and every aura type has different authorities, but they have the potential, like generators have the potential to have 2 different authorities. Projectors, there's 5 different types of authority. We're the most varied in
Wow.
terms of, right? So like for you and I, we are projectors who actually have some motor centers versus you're an emotional projector, I'm a splenic projector, someone else I know a couple of mental projectors who don't have any motor centers defined. So we actually are considered to be energy projectors, believe it or not. We actually have a little more motor power available to us. But
Is that why we're so quick? Like
well, so
we're not slow.
one of the things I could say across the board for projectors is that we can get so much done, just as much as any other aura type, and maybe more in certain circumstances if we work correctly. And so the way we're built to work is short bursts and then rest. We're not marathoners, we're sprinters. So we go for, I would not exceed 4 hours. I've tried to push it to 5. I would go 4 hours tops of work back to back, then you got to rest. And, this is why we're in the kind of work we're in too. It's not an accident. Like it's bursts, right?
It's
So
not an
like,
accident.
it's not an accident. So if a projector works correctly and works in short bursts and rest, and it doesn't have to mean sleep, it could mean sleep, but it could just mean mindful rest, then you will be so fucking effective and efficient. You will get so much accomplished in those short bursts, more than a generator could in that short amount of time, because they work differently than we do. So,
Yeah.
and so someone who has a motor center probably needs a different kind of rest than someone who doesn't have a motor center in terms of projectors too. So
Yeah.
there's some variance there, but yeah, it's a different operating system.
I would say yoga nidra like saved my life.
Oh my God.
Because it's like getting, or even like yoga nidra magnesium
Yeah.
PEMF mats and or if you don't have $1,000 to have a PEMF mat, the grounding like outside in a
Yeah.
forest, or I live on the
Yes.
beach. I was in the water on Sunday or Monday, I forget what day, for like
Yeah.
2 hours in the water. I saw
Yes.
a shark came up to me. That's how
Yeah.
long I was in the water floating.
They were like, "Oh, you live here too?"
Yeah, yeah. Like these things like magnesium and grounding and yoga nidra, things that bring you
Yes.
back to like because I don't need much sleep, but I
Mm-hmm.
need a
Mm-hmm.
lot of rest. Like
Yes.
I can get home or I can go to bed at 3 a.m., wake up at 7,
Yeah.
completely fine, and I can do like clients or sessions with people. I can go to the yoga studio, which is an hour away. I can get up
Yeah.
for a 4:30 a.m. sadhana, so I can get up at 3:30 in the morning, go to a two
Yeah.
and a half hour yoga practice, and it's all because of like yoga nidra and mantras and literally resting. But it doesn't look
Yes.
like, oh, I'm just sleeping. But sometimes it's
Yes.
just laying there and not
Yes.
being like, I'm not being accomplishing, I'm not getting anything done. Like I had to train my brain to realize that I'm still successful as fuck, and I don't need to be
Yes.
constantly doing something,
Yes.
because I look at everything I produce or create, and I'm sure you can as well. And I'm not doing anything. And people are
Yeah.
always like, I'll tell people all the time, like, stop trying to manifest. Just be like, I desire
Yeah.
will literally show up, and they're like, that's not how life works. It's not. I'm like,
Let's
it's literally
I want to touch on that, but let's not forget, because I want to talk about the manifestation mechanic of each aura type.
okay.
But yes, to the like yoga nidra, like it is so important for projectors. We actually are being more productive if we build those mindful resting periods into our day. So like where a generator is supposed to use their battery till it goes on red, they're supposed to. And I
Mm,
can see it in my daughter. Like if she doesn't use her, like I could never impose a bedtime on my daughter because she has to go till her battery's burned out, period. A projector should never go past yellow. And when you now know that as a projector, when you will feel it happen. I feel it. It is so, I will be doing something and I will suddenly feel my battery rapidly decreasing. And
yep.
I know I have to finish that task and stop, because back in the day, I would keep pushing. Going to red for a projector, and I'm not being dramatic, is basically like a hospital stay. Like we don't work like that. Our mechanism doesn't work like
I
that.
get put out for days. Like, I will be put
Yes,
out, and then I'm like
and sick.
depressed or having these weird thoughts. Like it's like,
Yep.
am I lacking an amino acid or something? Like what's
Yeah.
wrong with me?
Yeah.
I'm like my life's. It's
Yeah.
crazy how that
It
works.
is super destructive for us to not use our systems correctly. So like that kind of brings me to the manifestation technique, because this one of the things that drives me crazy is how the world and certain spiritual communities like to impose this homogenized manifestation technique on everyone. The eye
I'm
roll.
rolling my eyes. If you're not watching this, I'm rolling my eyes. I can't.
So so it frustrates me because I see people shooting themselves in the foot because they're trying to all adhere to a manifestation technique that is only appropriate for 9% of the population. So the only aura type that is meant to manifest by taking action in that way, in that real on the nose way, is a manifestor aura type. That's 9% of the population that is built to initiate. That's how their aura mechanic works. A projector,
I'm laughing.
our our type, we are actually the most vulnerable and the most I hate to say this, it sounds so like it's, I don't mean this in a fear-mongering way, but we are the ones who are the most in danger in terms of our energy field, because our auric field is extremely porous. So where we are able to go into the other very deeply, that works both ways. So everything comes into us. So we are very vulnerable, and it is more important for us than anyone else to make sure that what we have in our field, who we're interacting with, and what we're interacting with, that we're careful about that. But
Yeah.
the way that our auric field is constructed, the manifestation technique that gives us is that we pull our blessings toward us. We manifest by our attraction. So when we sit back and allow our aura to speak, it pulls like a vortex. It pulls resources, it pulls connections, it pulls all
This
kinds of
is
things toward
the
us.
strategy that you talked about strategies earlier. The strategy sentence or statement for projectors is
Wait
to
for invitation.
yes.
Yes.
So that
And
that 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 comes into that, correct? That's the purpose
yep,
of that whole
it
thing. Because I
does.
think people
Yep.
think that we're like lazy or like we're
No.
creating people think that I'm creating excuses for the way I do my work. And
Yeah.
everything in my life that I've ever desired to want or to try and manifest, it has all come because it wasn't a desire, it was a premonition of a prophetic idea of something that I wanted to obtain. And the minute I stopped trying,
Yes.
everything in my life, or not even stop trying, the reason I stopped, the minute I just try to stop trying to go towards it, pushing or forcing it, like people come in my life or there's things in my life that I'm like, oh wait, this is all leading to this. And then I'll get a text or a call. Hey, would you, I mean, there's a project that I'm not allowed to talk about because I signed an NDA, but I always wanted to be involved. I guess I could say a reality show. Okay. I don't have to say what it's about, but I've always wanted to be on a reality show. I mean, since I was in 14, I would do casting calls. I was obsessed. The minute I stopped, I get a phone call.
Yes.
It's a contract.
Yes.
It's 2 interviews and a contract. To be, and I'm like, I didn't even, and it's for nothing that I thought it would be. The idea, the topic or the theme of the show. But it's, I didn't do anything for it. I didn't apply to go to a casting call. They came to me, and they chose me out of 45 people, it was that's cute. Yeah. That's nice. But the point is this is another, I mean, there's a gazillion stories that not just one that's recent of me not trying and manifest something that I've really, really wanted to manifest and I think that also helps us understand it's not a manifest or a desire. It's just a premonition. You can have all you want, any of us. It's just
and I mean, I would never tell a manifestor in a human design reading to do what I would say for a projector to do. For a projector, you spoke to it perfectly. What we have to do is focus on our frequency and make sure that the things that we're engaging with, that we feel aligned, that we're exploring the things that bring us joy and that feel important to us, and then we just allow ourselves to be, and everything that's meant for us will come toward us then, because it is a magnetizing aura, right? And when we look at these words in human design, magnetism, projector, blah, 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 we're not looking them at the same way that we look at them semantically in our day-to-day language. It doesn't mean the same thing. It doesn't mean oh, I'm magnetic and you're not. It's a different way of, even the word manipulation is used differently in human design.
Yes.
And opportunistic is used differently in human design.
Yes. And authority or strategy, things like that. This is why I love Kundalini yoga, because magnetism and radiance and all these things is a huge aspect. But it's because we're clearing the subconscious mind, we're upgrading our DNA, we're doing all these things. And radiance is really Agni, right? It's that inner fire. It's that radiance from the heart and things like that. And it speaks and it makes me understand my human design being a projector so much better, because when I'm doing Kundalini yoga, that is part of me doing the work and going out, and that's part of manifesting, because I'm clearing out the not self aspects of myself through the practice, and I'm increasing my magnetism, right? But that's why I think it works so well for me. But other people might actually go and do something, or actually go and create something, or open up a 6-figure company and do it that way. But for us, it's we have to just kind of come back to ourselves, do the inner work that way. And I think maybe that's why I'm so attracted to the yoga practice that I have found, because it's a symbiotic relationship. They work so well together. I feel. You've practiced before. Is that? I mean, I guess I should ask you. Do you think that is why we work so well together? Not me and you, but I know why we work well together. But me and Kundalini, I guess, or
I mean, I think as a projector, it couldn't be one of the more perfect professions. Like you're here to offer energetic guidance, and that is, I mean, that is the whole thing with Kundalini is just like this incredible energetic force that, you know, that you're working with, and all these different subtleties that you're working with. And then it lights you up too. So you are kind of like a living, walking, breathing embodiment of the practice. So you just being Kundalini, you're being it. And so it pulls the work towards you. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, it's such a great fit. It's such an aligned fit,
I have to ask you, you mentioned something earlier and I can't get it out of my brain. And by the way, thank you for going over the human design thing, because it's so complex. And I think people that are listening might, even if they're like, they don't know anything about it, it is a complex for a reason. It's not supposed to be understood. It's easily digestible, but I don't think don't be overwhelmed if you're listening and you're like, what the fuck is all of that? Because it's not meant to be a basic thing. Yeah, definitely. We'll give Kira's information, like reach out. Like, I mean, I a lot of people, it's becoming the new yoga instructor. Like a lot of people are doing human design, but I've had conversations. I mean, you are the most digestible. You're fast. You're like me, so I can keep up. But you have notes. You break it down. You make it make sense. You can stop and ask questions. It's super amazing. But I can't get this out of my brain. You mentioned something about Uranus being the planet of Kundalini awakening. Why have I not heard of this?
I don't know.
Can you teach me?
So whenever I talk about astrology, whether it be tropical, sidereal, or Vedic, I am, and I've gone in and out, you know, and we've talked about this. I've gone in and out throughout the years in terms of how much I'm leaning into those methodologies.
Oh my God, I want to get Manoj on here.
Oh, you absolutely should. You absolutely should.
That would be amazing. Because if anyone listening, they're like, what's Vedic or tropical? I mean, everybody knows the tropical Western astrology. That's your, I'm this, I'm that. Vedic astrology is completely similarly different, and it's evolving with the constellations, and it's so amazing.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
Anyway, Manoj is our astrologer in India, so I got him through Kira. So, oh my gosh, I need him on the podcast.
You have to have him on. He's amazing. I'm 100% agreement with that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. So go back to your.
It's okay. It is something that I am very much a student of. Like I am, and this is actually built into my human design. I have a 5-1 profile. I'm like, I go so deep. I go so deep into systems that I just go. I absolutely love to explore astrology. I consider myself to be a student of it, not a teacher of it. And when I offer astrological information through my teachings, it is me offering it as through my studentship, through my offering. So I am not someone who you're going to come to for an astrological birth chart. I am a student of that. So
for some reason, I can't. I've looked up like Vedic astrology colleges because I'm like, I want to get into it, but I'm like, I don't think I'm meant to do birth charts, but I like to use it. I always gift all of my clients who do like big packages with me, or I hate calling them clients, my students or whatever.
Yes. Your people.
my peeps. I always gift them a reading with Manoj because it helps me understand how to work with them better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But,
anyway, So I have, as lately, I've been really, really into the astrologies. And I believe that the reason that I've been so inclined to them lately is because we've been going through astrological shifts that we've never experienced in this lifetime. No one on the planet has, and that we won't again in the lifetime. So everyone who's living on planet Earth right now, we're experiencing different planetary shifts that have ever existed before.
And I think a dummy could understand and feel the tides rising and there's
shifts. Been a lot.
The solar flares, I mean, everything.
Yeah. When I go, so I do study it very deeply, though. I do, even though I don't consider myself to be a teacher of it, I just do feel I'm a very deep student of it. And so the planet of Uranus has this energy of it that is of spiritual awakening. And it can even surprise us. It's like downloads and spiritual awakening and being a crown open kind of energy.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense that projectors are associated with that planet.
Wow. I need to like work with this energy because I've never really looked into it. in my Vedic chart, I need to remedy like Jupiter and Rahu and things like that.
Yes.
So I've been so focusing on like getting a yellow sapphire ring and making sure that my Jupiter planet's secure so I can have some money in my bank account and like some structure. But
this is like a Vedic thing that he's talking about.
What did you say?
Oh, I was just saying Thomas is referring to like Vedic stuff with like gemstones and everything.
Oh, yes.
Like that.
Yes. Yeah. There's a whole nother, oh my gosh.
Yeah. But okay, so let me actually, I have someone else I think you should have on. Okay.
Okay.
So Manoj for sure for Vedic astrology, and my dear friend Natalie Levin, who we taught, she was a yoga teacher for a couple of years already before me at the first one of the first studios that I ever taught at back in my early 20s in New York City, which it's no longer there. The teacher, Cindy Leigh, who I think I actually referenced already in this, she now just teaches all over the world, but she had an incredible studio there that was truly, I mean, like, such good stuff, right? But Natalie was a teacher there that was already teaching for a couple years before me. She and I had a great connection. She was also a legit professional opera singer, incredibly talented, amazing yoga teacher, and also very psychic, and also an incredible astrologer, right? Incredible astrologer. She's also super eccentric, like rainbow hair, and just like sometimes when she does offerings, she does astrology, yoga, and she'll sing you an aria, like a sound healing, and she'll like throw glitter all over. I mean, it's just like, she is such an incredible being.
Can we go meet her?
Yes, yeah, but
let's film it in person. I'll fly back to Jersey and we'll go to New York City. She's in New York, right?
Now she's currently living in the Philly area, but we can definitely go hang out with her.
It's easier, yeah.
And but you should have her on to have her talk about astrology, the tropical, right?
Okay, so I can have the contrast.
Yes,
I've been such a little bit of like a bias person. I'm like, I don't even look at Western astrology anymore. Like, and everyone's like, what's Vedic? And I'm like, I don't even look at the Western. I'm like,
I know. I'm
no longer a Gemini.
And the sidereal look at it is also really interesting too, because it really is quite different than tropical. It's it states that, there's I won't get into all that right now, but like sidereal has a different outlook and placements than like the way we look at tropical. I think it's all valuable personally, but I think having Natalie on would be amazing. Her name's Natalie Levin. So you'll have Manoj on, you have Natalie on.
I will reach out to her.
Natalie just recently I had my birth chart with Natalie done, and it was such an affirming, validating experience for me to have her.
Yeah, I love all these things, and it's not that we're like stuck in needing any of them, but they just give you a nice, helpful blueprint to understanding. I believe our purpose is just to create. That's Kundalini, right? But it's so nice to have a blueprint to understand a little bit more about yourself. It's like it's like after your therapist sort of got to kind of realize who the hell you were, and they start to help you realize who you are now because they kind of cracked the code. These systems and modalities, I'm not saying that they should be replaced or therapy should be replaced by it, but because I have a therapist and you have a therapist, but they're just good. They just help you understand who you are a little bit better, so you can help be a better human being. I mean, be more vibrant, be more lively. And
going and making sure you're going to people. This is why for me it's like, I'm not just going to randomly Google someone and go. Like, for me to go and have a session with someone else, it's a very intentionally chosen person.
That's why I'm doing these podcasts. I don't even want any of them to be by myself. I just want to share my friends and mentors and people that I don't know that are vetted out, because there's so many people that are just offering these things. I mean, I could offer astrology readings. It's not hard to get an astrology software printed out and claim you know what you're talking about, but these people study it. Like they live it. It's like Kundalini. Like anybody can practice the PDFs from Yogi Bhajan's teachings and teach a class. I mean, I know people that do that, and they've not done the training. They don't practice it. They don't have their own practice. And it's like, is that somebody you really want to work with? I mean, but that's why I'm doing this, And so more about you now before we close up.
Okay.
What do you think the world, right? It's like crazy right now. Everyone's like, the world's crazy. I'm like, ugh, I'm so sick of people saying that. Like, I'm like, is it really crazy? I'm not bypassing. I get it. There's wars. There's
Yes,
eating of the
yes,
earth, and there is
yeah,
things going on, but there's a lot of beautiful things going on too. And I'm not trying to
yeah,
bypass the darkness.
yes.
But there's darkness involved in our communities and stuff like that. But
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, what do you think the future is for Kira and the world? Not that I'm like saying you're a superhero. I mean, you are in your world. But what do you think? I mean, what do you think's coming next for Kira that you feel comfortable sharing, or maybe even like what you think's happening? Give me like a forecast. The world,
Of
you, and how it's what the
of me
dance
being
is.
in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just
Okay, okay,
just and then yeah, yeah.
okay. So I feel like what's been happening with me, because I am always, as are you, and we kind of talked about this earlier when it comes to the concept of aging, um, and
Oh yeah,
uh,
let's.
and how it's a total misconception that the mechanic is actually opposite of what people think. But um,
It's so annoying that
I
people can't take us seriously because we look young. It's like, oh my god, well, I
yeah,
plan on looking old even when I'm old, so I don't really
yeah.
take it seriously.
Um, but so I am a person who, no matter what life feeds me, and I have had a lot of I've had a lot of challenges in my life, and there have been a lot of really difficult and painful things that I have moved through. I am a person who operates in a spiral, not in a loop. Even if I'm in a loop for a little bit, in a pattern for a little bit, it's not going to stay like that my whole life. I just am not built that way. I'm someone who uses every circumstance that comes to my life as an opportunity to alchemize that information and expand my container to hold more light frequency through that process. That's just how I'm wired. I've always been that way since I was a kid, like
Mm,
little,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what's been transpiring for me recently is a deepening into certain more subtle practices that I work with for myself, but that I also work with for people privately. I have been deepening my work in those particular, let's say, in those formats. Some of
Okay,
these things are things I'm not ready to share publicly yet, that
okay.
I'm working with on a really personal individual practice on a daily basis with. They're in the more subtle realms. I'm just leaning more and more and more, not that I'm ever going to stop working, like, because the body is something that's very sacred to me and always has been. It's not a mistake that I was born from two professional ballet dancers and danced my whole life, and I use the body and get so much information from the body, and it's this very like temple holy thing that I go to bow at every day that just gives me so much beauty and so much
Mm,
information. Not abandoning that, but I am definitely leaning into and cultivating my more subtle practices, um, and I think that is the the turn of the wheel, in terms of like
yeah,
that is how my wheel is turning and what is coming to me as a result of that wheel turning. And I just think that I'm just going to be leaning more and more and more into that, more into that which we cannot see with our physical eyes.
I love
How
it.
that works in my own life, and again, how I'm offering that out to private and group clientele, that lovely word that we love
Yes.
more and more. That's what I see. That's I see more eternalizing, more etherealizing, more.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that's
And
where I see myself going.
I like it. I like it. I'm excited to see it conspire because even just from when I met you 5, 7, I don't even know, 6 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but like you're a completely different person, like, but you're still Kira.
Yes,
Like it's
I
not
I'm
bad or
always
good. We've evolved so much, but
yes.
it's so funny. What's your message for if people like, I mean, what do you think right now in the collective, in this very now moment that they're listening, because right now is May 21st, but this will not be out until a while. But what's the message you have for the collective that the viewer listening right now? Like what do you have to say
Yeah.
that would help empower them to be
Yes.
more light, right? I guess.
Yeah. I think it is really, really important for every being, if they're willing to step into it, to notice anywhere in their lives where their tendency is toward avoidance. and to get really honest with themselves around that and really clear around where they avoid certain aspects of themselves. Because where they avoid certain aspects of themselves is where they will hinder their growth and development as spirits in human form. Because what we want to do is, most individuals were afraid of the rupture. We hit a rupture point and we retreat away from it. Whereas when we hit a rupture within ourselves, we want to lean into it and do the repair. That's the spiral. Then we come out on the other side and we're more expanded. If we do that with ourselves, then we'll be able to do it with other relationships that we're in of all kinds. But if we can't meet that rupture point within ourselves, lean in, do the repair, spiral up into the next segment. Anytime we are interacting with the outside world, as soon as we hit a rupture point, we're going to run and we're going to stay in a loop where there's no growth. So you want to be in the spiral. So just looking at any place where we're in avoidance.
I like it.
You know?
I
Anywhere
love it.
that we're
I'm in a trance. Think like going into my brain. I'm like, where am I avoiding things? Oh my God. I'm like going into like a whole.
Yeah, it's like some people call this shadow work. It's funny because when I think back to, again, like my late teens, early 20s, and when I first started, teaching through like yogic methodology and things like that, I remember that I was doing shadow work and offering shadow work back then, and there was no such term. Well, there was, Carl Jung, but it hadn't moved into like spiritual communities yet.
Yeah,
I didn't even have a word for it. I just knew that I was meeting all these different darknesses in myself while being a yogic practitioner.
Why I like you is because of this. Go ahead, finish what you were saying.
Yes. Well, because it was like I was going to teach these classes and what I was moving through was so dark. And I'm like, how do I authentically step into these places and lead from a place of realness? And my whole thing was like, well, I teach from the darkness that I'm in. I teach from, okay, is there grief present in your body today? Do you feel angry? And no one was I hate to say this, like, I don't mean to be, but like people weren't really doing that back then.
They weren't, and it became so popular, shadow work, like the past 5 years or so, so popular that all people were doing was shadow work. And I'm like, guys, you have to step out of this loop that you're in.
The pendulum.
Yes, there's always a pendulum in these trends and these like circles, because it's like harp on it so much. And for a while, I was like, I don't want to hear the shadow.
Yeah, there was a period of time where everyone was light washing everything and spiritually bypassing everything, and because it was so extreme, the pendulum went all the way the other side. Now the trap is to get stuck in the shadow work. So what I always tell people too is, I'm like, so you delve into the rupture, you work with it, you shine the light on it, but then you have to use your discernment to know when now it's time to lift up, take a step forward, go up on the spiral. You'll hit another rupture at a certain point, but like you can't stay like either way, whether you're spiritually bypassing or embroiled in the shadow, that still keeps you in that loop,
That's why I like you. You alchemize it. You alchemize both of them. It's not just one or the other. You're not stuck. You're never stuck. You're always moving forward. And I feel like that's why we get along so well. It's why we work well together. Like we're moving forward. Like
we understand each other very well.
Yeah. And there's
what
so
about
many.
You? What are you doing in the world?
I don't know what the hell I'm doing in the world.
When do we get to see your reality show? That's what I want to know.
I wish I knew. And I'm not even like. He's like, stop talking about it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that. I mean, I can say that. I'm not disclosing any information. It's not like anybody knows me. Like, they don't know what I'm.
Yeah.
God, I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I'm here spreading the message. Don't shoot the messenger, right? I mean, that's the name of the podcast, because I do get controversial, and I have some controversial guests. You are not that. You weren't. Maybe you could have been, but we didn't get into any of those topics, and it didn't happen naturally. So it's better. But I'm just doing my thing. I'm still Thomas. Whether I'm doing this or doing that, and I'm here to. I want people to have access to amazing healers or light workers or whatever. I want people to get a glimpse into my world, and a lot of my world is my people, my friends, my family. So much of what I do, and like everyone's like, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, I I hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
You know? And I left Jersey, but a lot of you guys, we still talk almost every day. Like, even if we're sharing Instagram reels. So I want to bring those people into this space, and I want to just keep introducing people, and not even introducing, just hearing the conversations. Everyone's like, I want to film a podcast, or you should film a podcast and just talk. And I'm like, exactly, that's what we're doing. That's what I want to do. And I'm just doing it. Because again, that could be an idea. Everyone's like, I can keep saying I'm going to do it, but I'm just doing it. Yeah. We're just having a conversation and talking about things we would normally talk about. And I hope that somebody receives some sort of divine spark of inspiration to empower their lives. That's pretty much all I want to do. And this is a nice platform to do it. I have no intentions of editing anything or making it fancy. We're on a Zoom call. We're basically talking on the phone right now.
Yeah.
But in hopes, the intention is that people will get a divine spark of inspiration. It's not just, we're talking on the phone. I mean, there's a format of like that, but yeah. And I don't know what episode you are, because you are episode 1 filmed, but I don't know where you're at on the list of episodes. So we'll see where you're going to be.
I love that. But you're just doing your, what, so I only have one social media, and it's very geared toward my work. Like before, it used to have like my kid on it more and everything. My kid is practically an adult at this point. She has her own Instagram page now.
You guys can follow her at.
Yeah, right. But so my Instagram page is very much about my work, and just who I am just as an individual.
And people can set up sessions with you, right? Like they can get the human design chart read. Are you open? Is your books open? Like, are you taking?
Yes. Yeah. My schedule it sort of lands for a little bit and then it kind of shifts and changes. It's very fluid. So there's always a way to do it. There's always a way to make it work. My Instagram is KiraLeigh BIRD. Kira Leigh Bird is my handle, right, for Instagram.
And I'll put all of that stuff down below. Like, I'll put the link and all that stuff. But
and we didn't even get into Ayurveda, but the bird has to do with all my air and ether.
Yes. Well, I think that you're somebody that's going to need to do like another episode at some point, because there's just so much, But anyway, everybody, thank you so much, Kira, for hopping on. And everyone listening, thank you guys for keeping up with Kira and Thomas, because we are fucking quick. We're fast. We got a lot. You have to put it on like the slow speed of the episode. But bye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out. And thank you so much, Kira, for sharing all of your wisdom and knowledge and teachings. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. I love you so much.
See you guys.
That's a wrap on today's conversation. Big love and thanks to our guests for bringing the wisdom, and to you for listening with an open heart. If this episode moved you, made you laugh, or helped you see something new, share it with someone who needs it. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review or shoot us a message. We'd love to hear what landed. See you next time on Don't Shoot the Messenger, where spirit stays grounded and real ones rise.